What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the MG YouTube channel. And we just had Tesla earnings call. And I want to talk to you guys about the Model S and the Model X and the cancellation of the Model S and the Model X and what I think of it. I'm Malachi Grubb, CEO of Elite Automation Elite Properties and an investor in Tesla and other stocks as well. So definitely subscribe if you're interested in those types of things. Actually sitting in one of our Airbnbs today. But yeah, first of all, it's sad that they're going to stop selling the S and X just because it's a vehicle for people to move up to as they become more successful, and they just want that premium version of a Tesla vehicle. But I really want to talk about this on kind of like a business perspective and why I think this is a not so good idea whatsoever. A lot of people are talking, like hyping it up like it's a good deal, and I think this goes along with some people just being too hyped up on Elon and everything like that. Which I'm a huge fan of Elon. However, I still am going to push back on something that I see as potentially being a bad idea. And this is not just on Elon, but if Elon gets all the good, Elon gets all the bad. Their internal team might have done calculations and stuff like that to and do the cost justification of this. And that's the thing, is I think they're looking at this as a cost justification. So on a cost justification basis, AKA, or not AKA, but on a cost justification basis of this, it makes sense for them to shut down the X and Y line to put in the Optimus line, because they're going to save the capital resources on building out a new facility, or adding on to their existing facility. And like the Fremont facility, I don't even know if there's space to add on to that facility. So that means you'd have to have another location, which means you have to divide employees instead of having everybody in one house, which is actually very challenging when it comes to like manufacturing operations, because then you have to spread your engineers across multiple facilities, and there may not even be a facility that they can even acquire or build that's within a proximity that makes sense for them. They also might be able to reutilize some of the capital automation for the Optimus robot. There's a lot of robotics and stuff like that are on those lines, and a lot of operator stations, and so a lot of infrastructure is already there. Now, it is kind of complicated to go through and retool everything and re-optimize everything for something like an Optimus robot, because it's a completely different form factor. So the spacing that's required to build that should be quite a bit smaller than what it would take to build a vehicle. So then your stations might almost be too spread out and whatnot. Now, they might completely just rip out the lines and then just reutilize the things that they can reutilize, like the robots and stuff like that. But that still is challenging, especially if those robots are, a more antiquated robot and not a newer model robot and all that good stuff. But the main reason why I think this is actually a terrible idea is because the Model X and the Model S, and also any other new vehicle that they would create, is a marketing tool for Tesla vehicles, for robotaxi, for FSD. And if they don't have the X and S premium vehicles, then somebody might, instead of buying a Tesla, might go buy a BMW or something, right? Because they want that premium vehicle, and that's their main objective, premium vehicle. But they don't want to get the Model 3 and the Model Y that everybody else has. And there's also the discussion of it's basically going to be like vehicles as a service or transportation as a service. And my perspective is I'm okay going down that road, but it's like I don't want to kill off the vehicle side of things, especially before we get there. Now, if we already had robo-taxis, they were in every single city in the United States, in the world, or whatever, and functioning, and basically had the market completely saturated, and then they wanted to make the decision that hey, let's only manufacture vehicles for the robo-taxi service, then I would be more on board with this. But the issue is we're not there yet. And we don't even know how the cultural shift is going to occur, where people decide they don't want to own a vehicle and decide to just take robo-taxis only. Now, your major cities where people have already defaulted to I'm just going to take an Uber instead of owning a vehicle because it makes more sense. a lot of times you're traveling like intra-city, and so you're not having to travel like 20 minutes from outside of town to inside of town. And I guarantee you, those people who have to travel 20 minutes from outside of town inside of town are not Ubering into town, right? They have their own vehicle, they're owning their own vehicle, and that's what they're going to continue to do. And so that's the cultural pushback. Now, I think in intra-city, you're going to be able to get a lot more people that convert um, over to a robo-taxi service, and even people who own vehicles will convert over to like a robo-taxi service intra-city fairly quickly. But that's just mainly because it's already part of that city culture, right? That's the main thing. And it's not about the cost. Now, the cost will disrupt Uber and Lyft, and I'm also betting against Uber and Lyft. I don't normally bet against companies, but I have like puts against Uber and Lyft because I think that over time, basically Tesla Robotaxi is gonna basically smack them and take all their business because they're just gonna be so efficient at the Robotaxis, not having to have a operator in the car, right? AKA driver. But I think the one thing that Tesla might be underestimating is that two things. One, that people want to own vehicles. They may not give a shit how much more it costs to own a vehicle than it costs to robotaxi. You know, I mean, I'm definitely one of those people. Like, I'm probably gonna own my own vehicles until, for somehow I can't even buy a Tesla. Because I would be for FSD and not owning a vehicle versus having to drive my own vehicle, right? Because we own Lincolns and other vehicles outside of our Teslas, and I don't even want to drive them because it doesn't have FSD. But one, I've been brought into that mindset by experiencing a Tesla with FSD, right? And so, with that being said, if I didn't ever own a Tesla with FSD, I would not be as bullish or as confident to only want an FSD vehicle. I wouldn't be stuck where I'm like, dude, I don't want to drive any other vehicle. Like, we actually have our Lincoln up for sale because I don't even want to drive it, right? It's a really nice vehicle, has massaging seats and all that good stuff, but I just don't want to drive it because it doesn't have FSD. Now, as a business owner and as somebody who's efficient at time, I've always wanted FSD because I knew how much time it would save me, especially when I take my 8-hour road trips to go visit customer facilities and stuff like that. It's like a must, for me, really. And I really wish I would have got one a few years before I did. Because especially like cities or highways, FSD's been really good on highways for many, many years now. But without having the Model S and the Model X, and also potential future vehicles like a cyber SUV or something like a big, like basically the equivalent of like a Lincoln Navigator L or a Ford Expedition XL or whatever. Them not having those type of vehicles is not getting people to buy into their platform, to then try FSD, to then be so committed to FSD. Because once you own the vehicle, one, you experience the FSD. Two, you're more in the ecosystem of what's going on with that vehicle. When there's a software update, you know how much better it is. You know how you have a firsthand experience of the utilization of that service, right? And so therefore it builds. It starts to build in the culture of you potentially being okay with not owning a vehicle. And it gives people, again, the more buy-in for Tesla, right? Even if the volumes of vehicles are low, as long as they're profitable vehicles, which they have to be profitable vehicles because they're charging so much more than a Model 3 and a Model Y, and they're really not that much different of vehicles. Sure, I don't know what the cost difference would be, but I would be really surprised if it was $20,000 more to make the vehicle, and they're charging like 2x, over 2x the cost for that vehicle. So you're increasing your expenses by less than double, and you're selling the vehicle for double. So, there's just so much profit margin in those as well. And again, like I would like to see Tesla do multiple different things of like having more models of vehicles. I'd like to see them have even more premium vehicles. Like the Roadster's like extreme premium. They should almost have like a multi-tiered system where like you have something in between the like Model Y and the Model X, and between the Model 3 and the Model S as a semi-luxury vehicle. I also think the Model S and the Model X should be more luxury for their price point. They're just too close to too close to all the other Teslas to really be a huge differentiator in the vehicles. They're like just too similar. Like that was one of my big pushbacks about owning the Cybertruck. Is the Cybertruck is just sure it has a bigger screen, and it's an amazing vehicle. There's a ton of features on it, but like luxury wise, it's definitely set up more utility than luxury. But it's simplistic and kind of like clean, like it should be luxury, So, but it doesn't. I don't consider having like luxury features, right? Like the doors don't open themselves. I don't know what kind of luxury features you'd put in it. I mean, it has heated and cooled seats, but we're reaching an era where all vehicles kind of really have these types of things. But again, the Cybertruck has cool stuff, ride height adjustment, and you can put it in off-road mode and control like the rear and front tires, whatever. But but the point is that they need to differentiate even more with the different platforms, the different price tiers of vehicles, with them being different models. But the biggest thing, with my biggest pushback, is that they need to continue to sell those vehicles, and they need more models of vehicles. Not because I want Tesla to be a vehicle manufacturer. It's because I want Tesla to get more people in the ecosystem of Robotaxi, of FSD, and get them exposure to what that is like. Because if they underestimate the cultural shift of people converting over to a Robotaxi from owning a vehicle, it could be devastating to the company. Whereas they're anticipating that they're basically going to own like 90% of the market share of like all transportation, right? If people don't use Robotaxis and just choose to buy vehicles, they're really, really going to hurt themselves. Really going to hurt themselves. Because culturally, it might take a long time for people to shift and to and just be okay with not owning a vehicle. Like right now, I have like all kinds of shit in my car, and I'm just too lazy to take it out, to be honest. And I might need it for this thing that I'm gonna do over there, and I might need something for that thing that I'm gonna do over there. And so then instead of having to like run back to our shop or run back to one of our garages, I just have it there in my car with me, right? But if I'm doing a Robotaxi type of service, it's not gonna be right there in my car with me, which makes it, extremely annoying. To have to like lug things in and out and stuff like that. So there's a lot of people and a lot of jobs where you're gonna need to retain your vehicle, right? If you're a realtor, you probably don't want a Robotaxi to every showing unless they give you the option to like rent it for a half day or rent it for a full day, and you know what I mean. It's still way cheaper than the ownership of a vehicle, but. And maybe they'll have more leasing tiers, and so you'll still have that filling of leasing. But then you have owners, the people that like to own things. I don't like to lease things. I like to own things. Whether it's the best financial decision, sometimes it works out and sometimes it doesn't. But I like the ownership because after I have the thing paid off, now I don't have a payment against it, and I own this thing, right? So you basically at some point in time you reduce your personal expenditures or business expenditures, and then you can just own that thing outright, and you don't have that recurring expense. Now, don't get me wrong, you have to upgrade, and maybe you have to wait a few more years, but I'm also the type of person where, especially in the past, in the beginning of my entrepreneurial journey and just early in my career, I rode vehicles until the wheels fell off. I bought a 2012 Toyota Camry, and I drove that thing for like 8 years until it got totaled out by a deer. and I was planning to continue to ride out that vehicle, as it never had any problem. Not a single starter, not a single alternator, nothing has ever. Hey, can you leave that? What are you doing, dude? What's up, buddy? It didn't have a single issue with the vehicle with the vehicle since I had it, and so I was riding that thing until the wheels fell off, and I owned that vehicle outright because, well, I owned it for so long. Actually, I paid cash for it anyway, but yeah, I mean, some people just also want that ownership. So there's a few different things to look at. Hey, bring that back in here, dude. Freeze. Sorry. My dog's about to eat something he's not supposed to eat. Freeze! Bring it! So you have like a few different things. People want people want to have a vehicle on a daily basis, right? That they can keep their stuff in. People want to own something, right? And again, we still have the Model 3 and the Model Y as of right now that we're able to own, and that does give people the optionality. But there's also quite a few people that are out there that they have a little bit of more money and they want to upgrade into the X or the X or the S, or it's something that they're striving to plan for. There's somebody that's planning like in 6 months, I'm going to have enough money to be able to afford like buying an S or an X, and now they're not going to have the ability to do that. I just would like to see Tesla fully dominate and continue their expansion of more models of vehicles, saturate the entire market, the same way that like Ford and Chevy and all these other companies, they've saturated every part of the market. Like a vehicle in the sector. Have like a minivan, have a have like a minivan, have an SUV, just have like a like the Ford Transport, like the bigger 12, 15 passenger vehicle. I think that would be better than the Cybertruck as far as like delivery and stuff like that. I mean, the truck bed and all that would be nice, but like you're much better off having a box where you can just deliver stuff in that massive box. And also just like keep making the vehicles drivable, right? Don't make it driver first. Make it autonomous first. I'm okay with that, right? Put an office in it, put couches in it, put whatever in it, right? But then make it driver able, right? If I need to drive my vehicle or want to drive my vehicle, I have the ability to do so. And I just think they're getting ahead of themselves to a degree, because I think that they have plans for other models, but they're going to be autonomous first models, right? Like the Robovan and basically it being kind of a shell that you can kind of convert into whatever you want it to be. But it's not here yet. Wait till you're manufacturing and producing that vehicle. Don't shut down your current, revenue generation streams before you're making money on your next revenue generation stream. I mean, don't get me wrong, like they're launching Robotaxi and they have foresight of Robotaxi and the revenues that it's going to generate, but it's not here yet. It's still not bringing in buku money, right? It's still not bringing in the volumes of money that they need to bring in. I don't know. Overall, I think that the Model S and the Model X are great marketing tools. I know there's a lot of people that would buy another Tesla today if there was an SUV version of it, if there's a minivan version of it with 8+ seats. And I think Tesla's really going to kick themselves in the shin by getting rid of this X and X, and it's going to, again, like the X and X are not a ton of volume that they're doing, but it's still a different demographic that they're going to miss out on, and it's a demographic that they might not get on board with. And no, one other thing that I want to add before moving on or ending this video is the Cybercab. The Cybercab, they need to do something with premium aspects. So there needs to be Cybercabs of different tiers. You have like the base model Cybercab that's just like get people from point A to point B as cheap as possible, and they need like one that's like almost luxury, like you can lay back and sleep, massaging chairs, computer screen in front of you that you can hook up your computer to and like be working with like a desk and all that. Like they need to they need to have different platforms, right? Because if somebody's like wealthy, if somebody has a lot of money and they feel like they deserve a luxury experience, they need that. If not, they're not going to really want to take a robo-taxi, because I'm not going to say they're not going to want to take a robo-taxi, but they're going to be like, they're just going to feel some type of way about having to take like this lowest base model version of a robo-taxi versus like something that's like more limousine style. I mean, we see it today, right? People choose to take Uber XL or whatever they call it, where like it's basically a blacked out Suburban, right? You see people choose that today, and it can be double the expense of the normal vehicle. And when it comes to rideshare, people don't necessarily mind spending that double the expense to take the big blacked out vehicle. And if Tesla doesn't have an SUV, then they can't have the big blacked out vehicle like that, right? You can maybe say the Cybertruck, they can do it with the Cybertruck, but it's still not that big blacked out luxury, I'm somebody type of status, right? And so they're really going to miss out on that opportunity there. What are they going to do? Just target the poverty market or whatever and just call it done? Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I'm not really caring for like some of the operations, the way that they're operating right now with their decisions. And also one other thing too is I feel like they're intentionally not making things sound good. I don't know if it's so some of the people can get more money in Tesla before it shoots up, but I feel like they're just kind of. I get this huge sense that they're not presenting their optimism for some reason. And I would say that primary reason would be like they don't want the stock market growth right now. They don't want the stock market price to go up. I don't know what other reason. The other thing would be competition. Like they don't want their competition to get too scared. Like they don't want Uber and Lyft to like freak out, or Google with Waymo or any of these other companies, because if they freak them out and spook them too much, then they could potentially do things to try to hinder them more, right? If they know that Tesla's right around the corner from getting this thing done, they may try to do things to stop them with regulatory hurdles or there's other means. Who knows? They might assassinate the dude. but but yeah, that's my thoughts on the Model S and the Model X getting canceled. It's definitely very sad. I don't think it's a good business move for Tesla to do, at least at this point in time. I think they should have waited a couple more years and had the market fully saturated. I don't like that Tesla is going to transportation as a service. Fully, right? I think they still need to be a manufacturer. When I look at Tesla and I look at all Elon's companies, I say Tesla is the manufacturing company, which there's nothing wrong with them having transportation as a service, but I think Tesla needs to remain the manufacturing company that produces all the things. And another thing too that's kind of is like a bit annoying is which is a different topic, but FSD is owned by Tesla, yet now we're introducing Grok, which is not owned by Tesla. Which I love Grok being in the car, don't get me wrong, but I don't know. It's just like you're giving market share because there's no way that X could just be giving away that service for free. Like Tesla's somehow paying for that service from X and or giving X some type of kickback to use that service, versus them just like doing something internal. Now, I'm not saying that was necessarily not the best and smartest move, but if Tesla's going to be a manufacturing company, I think it needs to remain a manufacturing company, and it needs to continue to produce things, vehicles, and also things like the battery packs, the mega packs. I really want to see them get more into the energy, solar, all that, because we probably are going to have an energy crisis when it comes to AI. That's going to be the major bottleneck. It's not going to be chips. I mean, chips is going to be the first bottleneck, and then after we solve chips, the next thing is going to be energy. And so I would like to see Tesla manufacture more energy-related things, whether it's well, mainly solar panels and batteries, right? That's pretty much it. I would also like to see Tesla sell AI chips to SpaceX for running AI data centers. Hopefully, that's something that happens, and if it doesn't happen, that's gonna be kind of sad. Um, I don't know. Nvidia is one of the biggest companies in the world, and that's what they do to sell chips. So if Tesla can make that one of their line items, they're going to save a shit ton of money by using their own chips in their vehicles and in Optimus and stuff like that. And if they're using them in their AI data centers and stuff internally, but I think they also need to sell those chips as well. And they might just be playing it soft so that way Nvidia doesn't freak out and Elon can just tell Jensen, which is the CEO of Nvidia, hey, we're not planning on selling these to anybody. We're just looking to, you know, produce internally because this is the most optimized for our internal needs. Blah blah things. But yeah, thanks guys for viewing. Let me know if you have any questions. What are your thoughts on the Model S and the Model X? And subscribe if you're interested in content like this. I try to talk about different investment things and kind of what I'm doing as an entrepreneur. As people start to ask more questions about what I have going on, I'll start making more videos on those aspects of things. But as of right now, I'm just do a lot of Tesla content, and I talk about some business things here and there. But yeah, have a ton of going on, and thanks for thanks for viewing, thanks for subscribing. Hopefully subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one.